Imagine you're at a wedding reception. Somebody stands up to give a toast. Sarah graduated from the top of her class. She's a senior project manager. She runs marathons. You're probably nodding off by now. Now imagine this toast. When Sarah was 8, her mum was diagnosed with MS. Sarah watched her lose the ability to walk, to work, to do the things that she loved. Sarah promised her mum she'd live enough life for the both of them. Now when they mention that she graduated top of her class, you're rooting for her. Bravo, you think. You might even get a bit emotional. And here's the thing, most video editors create documentaries, commercials, and wedding videos like the first toast. All achievements, no heart. Now if you want Netflix quality from your edits, like the second example, you better start using the framework that you're going to learn in this episode. Do it right, and you'll have your audience drying their eyes from how incredible your film was. By the way, my name is Shiny. I'm an Emmy-nominated documentary and commercial editor that spent the last 15 years working with clients like Vice, BBC, Ogilvy, and more. And my goal is to help you understand what storytelling in editing actually is and how you can use it to craft engaging edits that premium clients will pay £300 to £500 per day for. Now, this framework is the kind of framework that will take you from a technical editor earning an hourly rate to a storyteller charging £300 to £500 per day. And if you're listening to this thinking, I'd love to get to that level, but I'm just not sure what's actually holding me back, well, jump on a mentoring call with me and I'll help you uncover exactly what's holding you back. We can figure out where your career is going and figure out the best path to help you get there. Unsplice.com/help. Remember that boring wedding toast where you just list all the things that happen? Those are just lists of things, milestones. And that's not very compelling. Now, if you want to keep your audience engaged, you have to connect with them on an emotional level. That's how they get invested in the journey. And you can do this in wedding videos, you can do this in documentaries, in commercials as well, even when there's no dialogue. And the way that you can do this is by following something called the Hero's 2 Journeys, which is a storytelling framework developed by filmmaker and story consultant Michael Haig and screenwriter Christopher Vogler. And it essentially says that whether it's a wedding toast, a Hollywood film, or a 10-minute documentary, there's always 2 parallel journeys happening at the same time throughout a story. That is the external journey and the internal journey. Now, what makes this framework so powerful is it kind of gives you a lens to analyze a story and look at it and understand it. And you can see where something might be a bit boring, you just don't care. You understand now exactly why. Now, the first journey, which is the external journey, this is what your subject is physically doing. It's the mission, the goal, the tangible things that they're trying to achieve. Sarah runs marathons. Mike needs to get his land back. Percy farms oysters. The last 2 are examples from documentaries that you can edit within the Unsplice program. And the second journey is the internal journey. This is the emotional transformation that's happening beneath the surface. It's not something that they set out to do. It's often something that happens because they're on this external journey. And there's the trope you've probably heard, and it goes like, the real reward was the friends we made along the way. And that's exactly what this is referring to. So in the earlier example, Sarah is running all these marathons to honor her mum. And in the other 2 examples, Mike is getting his land back out of the love for his grandmother, and Percy is discovering that one person can make a difference through farming oysters. And here's why most editors miss this. The external journey is obvious. It's the interviews. It's everything that the documentary maker or filmmaker set out to capture. The subject tells you exactly what they're trying to do. But the internal journey, that's hidden. It's the subtext. It's the way they talk about their grandmother, or it's the pause before answering a question. And we spoke about this on another episode, talking about the 5 whys, getting to the emotional core of why someone is doing that. And that's a great framework to actually figure out what the emotional journey is or why somebody is doing it. And without this, the difference is a news piece versus a story. You're just laying out facts. That's news. If you want to take them on a story, on a journey, then we need to care. And one of the best things is when you get this right, every single time you watch back your edit, you become involved. Like, you are rooting for the person in the story. You become more engaged because you're like, I really want this person to do it. And so you're thinking about all the ways that you can add to that person's journey. All right, let's go through some real world examples here. So the external journey is the plot. It's what happens. It's the sequence of events that moves the story forward. So in the wedding toast, it's about graduating, etc. Their facts, achievements. One of the Unsplice students was cutting a documentary about a man named Mike. Mike is on a mission to get back his family land that they'd lost. That's the external journey. It's clear, it's tangible, you can film it. Man wants the land back. But without any emotional context, his mission kind of appears selfish. Like, I want that land. It used to be mine. I want it back. But when we pepper in a bit of emotional context that Mike wants to get the land back to restore it to how his grandmother had it, and so that he could secure it for his future generations of his family. It's 3 story beats right there, 3 mini missions almost within the larger external journey. And each one has a beginning and an end. And by just doing that exercise, you've now got all the beats of your story. You can structure your entire documentary and you know exactly the dialogue that you're looking for then. So there's also a fantastic framework to help you know what dialogue to choose. That gives your story the structure, the spine. We need that. We need to have these milestones so that we know that the mission that this person, Mike, is on, he is achieving and he's moving forward. Now, he might miss those milestones, and that in itself is a story beat, but he's aiming for something. And then when he misses, he has to pivot. That's a part of the story. That's part of the challenges. But that's how you're going to build out story beats. And then, of course, the internal journey, the transformation. This is the emotional arc. It's really what your subject learns about themselves. It's the change that happens inside of them as a result of pursuing the external goal. Back to the wedding toast, the internal journey. Sarah promised her mum that she'd live enough life for the both of them. So that's why every marathon matters. The career, the languages, they're not just achievements, they're acts of love. They're a promise that's being kept. And quite often, 2 people doing the same thing can have completely different reasons. Imagine all the people running that marathon. They all have reasons why they're doing it that are different, and they all tie back to the internal emotional reasons. And it's typically not even a conscious choice in terms of one person might not wake up and say, how do I honor my mother today? It's a framework by which they live by every single day. Now, in Mike's story, his mission sounds simple. He lost the land, he wants it back. But using the 5 whys technique and digging deeper, we know that Mike wants the land back because he grew up listening to his elders lament losing it. So why did he want to solve that problem? Why did he take that on board? Because he wanted to see his grandmother happy. Why? Because she was sad about it. It was like a dark cloud hanging over the family. But why did he care so much about his grandmother? Because he spent his childhood with her. He admired her and he loved her. So there it is. It's about building a stronger relationship with his grandmother. That's the emotional journey. But there are many other emotional journeys that could be had. Let's say Mike did all of these milestones with the help of his daughter. Well, now, all of a sudden, as a result, perhaps the bond with his daughter grew a lot stronger. That's an emotional journey, an emotional outcome that was not part of the original mission, but is an outcome nonetheless, and something that we can relate to, because we have family. And so when we're constructing these stories, we should be thinking about all those small little actions that are contributing to this emotional journey. You know, every vine that Mike plants to ensure that the soil is a lot harder to develop on in the future, or restoring the soil using biodiversity, which is how his grandmother used to do it. Whatever little nuggets you can find that contribute to this stronger emotional journey, you pepper throughout, and you will find that the audience cares so much more for your character. Or maybe we see Sarah crossing the marathon finish line with her mum cheering her from the hospital bed. So remember, facts means external journey, but without the internal journey, it's a news story. Achievements without emotion are meaningless, selfish almost. And it's your job as the editor not just to show what happened, but why it happened and why it matters. That's the difference between technical editing and storytelling. And when you command this, you can charge £300 to £500 per day. And if you'd like help with your storytelling, but you're just not sure how, head to unsplice.com/help. Jump on a call with me. We can talk about what's missing from your editing and how you can improve so that you can command £300 to £500 per day. And if you found this really useful, then you'll definitely want to learn a little bit more about the 3-act structure, which gives you the perfect framework to know how long the intro should be, how long the meat should be, and how long the conclusion should be, and what you should be including at each point in the story.